Hop United All Access. This is Brienne, and we're here live today with the one and only Jonathqn Lykes. How's it going?
I'm doing very well. I'm exhausted from protesting for the last month and a half, but I'm remaining steadfast and energized because I'm excited for our people to get free. So that's what I'm here for.
Right. Well, I do appreciate you for joining me today and checking in with me. Like I said, you just introduce yourself though. Let everybody know where you're from and what you stand for.
Sure. So I currently live in Atlanta, Georgia, but doing organizing work between New York, DC, and Atlanta. I am the founder and executive director of liberationhouse.org, where I organize through a Black queer feminist lens. We're doing cultural organizing, cultural work, trying to make sure that we make our movement irresistible through Black radical joy. I've done a bunch of other things. I'm co-founder of BYP 100 or Black Youth Project 100, um, and curator of the Black Joy Experience, which is a freedom song and liberation music album. We released the Freedom Song album about a year and a half ago, and we are set to release the Black Joy Experience Volume 2 in the fall. So I'm excited.
Okay, all right. So I really do. I see you've been working, and you've definitely been standing up for, our fellow Black people, and I'm sure what you've done so far. Everybody appreciates,
Thank you.
activism, in general. So let's get started. Like, what I guess what led you to this movement? Like, how did you become so passionate about just you mentioned the liberation house.org, BYP 100 Black Joy Experience. Guess we can start with the liberation house. Like, what inspired you to just you know go the back and just have our people's back so hard for standing up for just Black people in general?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So I'm 30 years old now. I started organizing at the age of 15 in high school, where I became the statewide organizer for a group called Ohio Youth Voices. I went to high school in East Cleveland, Shaw High, woo woo. Uh, and through high school and through Ohio Youth Voices and through organizing, my first campaign was around economic justice. So when I was 15 years old in Cleveland, Ohio was at the federal minimum wage. So the lowest it could possibly be for folks at the front lines, all of our essential workers, to get paid the minimum wage. They were getting paid $5.15 at the time. And at the time, I was also a poet, a slam poet. I went to a competition called Brave New Voices all through my high school life, featured on HBO. And through that moment, I had written a poem called 515 is Not Enough. And through that poem, it kind of politicized me. So while at Ohio Youth Voices, I came to realize that we don't always have to rely on politicians in order to get us free. So there's something called a ballot initiative where we can actually put our issues directly on the ballot to vote for. So we know like the Ohio state legislator is very conservative and they were never going to raise the minimum wage in Ohio. They would still have it at $5.15 an hour if they had a choice. So we went around and got petitions signed in order to get the issue of minimum wage on the ballot, and we ended up winning. And at a very early age, that's the first time I felt power. Um, that's the first time I realized that, we actually have the ability as Black and brown folks that are marginalized to change the material conditions of our lives. And I have been organizing ever since. So, fast forward to Liberation House and Black Youth Project 100. In 2013, my college professor brought together 100 Black radical youth to basically just talk about like, how can we organize beyond November, beyond elections? How do we think about the fullness of our Blackness and the struggles we face? Well, when she brought us together, it just so happened to be the same weekend that the Zimmerman verdict was released for the Trayvon Martin murder. So that moment obviously politicized and conscientized so many people in our generation. I was in a room with 99 other Black radical young folks responding to that moment, and we immediately decided to create an organization out of that moment. And that's when we formed Black Youth Project 100, or byp100.org, for folks who want to check out that work. Liberation House is a newer organization shaping the cultural work of our time. I truly believe that we need to be dancing and singing and creating art all the way to liberation. That is the Black radical tradition. That is the history and legacy and lineage that Black folks are walking in. So even if you think about Hip Hop United and you think about hip hop started as a political statement, it started because Black folks were oppressed in New York, and that oppression was felt all around the country and now all around the world. So in response to how we are oppressed, we create art and culture in order to articulate that oppression, and ultimately in order to get closer to freedom and closer to liberation. So Liberation House is doing a lot of different forms of cultural work. You might have seen, um, well, I'll stop there. I'm gonna let you talk a little bit. But basically, liberationhouse.org, check out our work, the Black Joy Experience Freedom Song album. We have micro grants. We're giving out money to different street artists around the country that are trying to spread not only our value of Black Lives Matter, but our demand currently in this movement, which is defund the police. So cultural work is popping these days, and yeah, I can talk about it all day long.
A lot of people, they want their voices heard too. Like, who did you know to go to get this organization started?
Sure. So it was really like Dr. Kathy Cohen, our professor. She brought the 100 Black folks into the room, and we were all between the ages of 18 and 35, but she didn't have a plan for us. She was just like, I'm bringing y'all together, whatever y'all want it to be, whatever y'all want to do. So I don't think anybody imagined that 7 years later, and we actually did just celebrate our 7th year anniversary in Black Youth Project 100. I don't think anyone thought that we would actually leave that meeting looking to create a whole new organization. Like, we already got thousands and thousands of organizations out here. But what we quickly came to realize is that there actually is no other space in this country organizing young Black people to do direct action organizing, transformative leadership development, advocacy and education through a Black queer feminist lens. So we felt the need to take up that space in this country. We felt the need to ensure that we were continuing the lineage and the legacy of Black radicals in this country. So when we think of folks like Angela Davis or Fred Hampton or Bayard Rustin or Malcolm X or Ella Baker, and I could go on, like, these are folks, like, we're living in their legacy. We're standing on their shoulders right now. And in liberationhouse.org and byp100.org, we actually realized that our ancestors haven't left us. They are still here with us, working and moving and interceding on behalf of us in this moment. So oftentimes we call out our ancestors into the space. So to create the organization was actually incredibly difficult, incredibly hard work, because we had a lot of people that had a lot of interests that were sitting at the same table. But we knew we had to create a space in this country where we could form a political home for young Black folks to do radical work and to create freedom dreams for future generations.
Right. Okay. Nice. That absolutely. That's some amazing work, because I know a lot of people, have said, we want our voices heard. How do we get our point across? And it, to me, it just looks like you didn't give up, and you were already in the presence of the people who could make it happen, and you just persevered and went forward and made it happen.
And so when in between the time where we were getting the ballot initiative on to vote to raise the minimum wage, we were going and protesting outside of the state capitol and making sure our voices have been heard. So I've been protesting now for 15 years. It feels like 100 years, but we're going to keep on protesting until we get free. So most recently, I've spent the last month at a protest in New York called Occupy City Hall or Abolition Park, where we did a 30-day occupation outside of City Hall, demanding that the New York Police Department be defunded by $1 billion, and ultimately demanding that we need to abolish the police and create new systems of public safety that work for all people, not just white male property owners. So that is how I spent my last month. So starting from 15 years old to now, I turned 30 in April. I'm protesting now more than ever, but in many ways, I feel like my generation and the generation after me, Generation Zers, are kind of just now catching up to this moment that we're living in. We are now living in the middle of the largest uprising in history. Many thought it was the largest uprising since the death of Martin Luther King, but we have now, the New York Times called us the largest social movement in history that we're living in the middle of. So it's a wonderful time to be alive. It's an amazing time to be Black in the world, wherever you are, all around the world. And I think we have a moment that we have to leverage to ensure that the desired results that we have in this moment don't get lost. We have a moment to really change the hearts and minds of this country and this world, and to truly create a world that doesn't just work for some of us, but that works for all of us. So if folks are listening, get on board. I tell everybody, either join an organization or start one. It's up to you. It could be 10 of y'all in a room. If you either join one or start one, but we need everybody, we need all hands on deck right now, because now is the time. Now is the time to really change the world. Changes that folks have been talking about for decades, for centuries, they are taking place now. So it's very important.
Well, I can definitely see just from the current protesting that's going on right now how, you have different networks. They're kind of, bending the rules a little bit. If you get what I'm saying, like just the hiring process, I've been seeing, oh yeah, we're now gonna, I forgot what the company was. They're going to hire more Blacks for certain positions, higher up positions. So it's like, I can definitely see the change starting to happen finally. But I mean, there's still room. there's still room, and we're not there yet. But, and then today's generation too is like everything is being recorded, is being captured on mobile devices. You can see, if we didn't have, like back in the day, people didn't have cell phones to record, Black people being mistreated and stuff like that. And now everything is being caught red-handed. So just keep throwing it up in their faces. And I definitely think that the outcome is going to be very, it's going to be a beneficial outcome, and we're going to see a difference because it's starting.
Absolutely. I would have never imagined when Minneapolis City Council said, even saying it, they said they will abolish their police department and create a new system, public safety. I never imagined in a million years that would happen in my lifetime. So to see them declare that, admit that actually the policing system that we have today was not created for all of us. Its roots is actually coming out of slavery, where they were slave catchers. So we already know, like, we cannot expect a system that was never made to keep us safe, to keep us safe. We're never surprised when we go into Black and brown communities and we ask folks, when you're around police, do you feel safer? And people say, no, I don't feel safer around police. We can't be surprised that that's the reality. So, so many changes are already happening in this moment. The occupation that we did in New York was very, very successful. The NYPD was defunded by $1 billion. And even though we know they played a little political tricks with the money, we still defunded one of the largest police departments in the world by $1 billion. And we just know that, like, we are living in 3 crises in this moment. We're living in the crises of the health pandemic. We're living in the crises of the largest economic depression since the Great Depression. And we're continuing to live in this crisis of 400 years of racism, where they continue to suffocate Black men and Black women and Black people on the streets of this country and the streets all around the world. So because of these 3 crises, we can't stop. we have to continue. We have to remain steadfast, and we have to continue to live out the dreams that our ancestors had for our lives. Now is the time. My friends keep telling me, because they care about me and want me to be okay, they're saying, Jonathqn, just slow down. Just like, and I'm like, I can't slow down. Because I really do feel like so much of my work and so much of the labor that not only us in this generation, but previous generations have put in to liberation, all of that feels like it is for right now.
Finally,
All of that feels like it comes down to this moment.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can see you can finally see the works,
Yes.
fruits of the
That's
labor.
exactly right.
Okay, so
Exactly.
now talk a little bit about, you said you provide funding to businesses,
Artists.
artists. Okay, now what kind of
Yeah.
hip hop artists?
So two things, and I encourage folks to go to my Instagram page at j.lykes, at j.likes, to find the flyers for these. You can go there, or you can go to the Instagram at Black Joy Experience to find this information in there also. But the first thing we launched on June 1st was an artist collective for Black and Brown young folks who want to be in a community of artists that are fighting for liberation and fighting for Black freedom struggle. So our ultimate goal is to create a new genre of music that is liberation music. We want a new genre of music that highlights the history of folks like Nina Simone and the Snick Freedom Singers and Sylvester and all of the folks who came before us that were singing about freedom and liberation intentionally. But we think we need a new generation, an army of folks that are singing about freedom and liberation in this moment. So that's the first thing. We have an artist collective. Folks should really message me really quickly, because we're trying to get the final list of folks in the artist collective finalized. We have over 150 applications right now. So come through, join the artist collective. The second piece are these micro grants that we're giving out to street artists, anywhere between $50 and $750, that you can get either to pay for supplies for your street art or to pay for your labor. If you're just at home making art about the movement, we want to pay for that time and support you. This originated out of this moment. You might have seen it. It started in DC, and I'm actually in DC at the moment, where Muriel Bowser, the mayor of DC, posted Black Lives Matter in large yellow paint, basically right in front of the White House.
Mm-hmm.
This is great, and Black Lives Matter is our value. The only issue is that with that is Mayor Muriel Bowser is also putting $19 million more into policing this year. So we're seeing this dynamic and this juxtaposition where we have Black mayors from all around the country and different mayors from all around the country that will say the words Black Lives Matter, and then at the same stroke of a pen will not understand that that is our value, but our demand is to take money away from oppressive systems and put that money into Black communities during the largest economic crisis of many generations. So don't say Black Lives Matter if you're not going to defund the police and give that money to Black communities. So my friends, a part of Black Youth Project DC chapter, and the Black Lives Matter DC chapter, actually April Goggins, who leads BLM-DC, called me crying, basically saying, everybody's so excited about this Black Lives Matter mural, but the mayor is not here for us. She ain't never been here for us. So I was like, all right, well, let's put together a meeting, let's get the artists together, let's get our folks, and, let's do the thing. By the next day, they had already went out there and written Black Lives Matter equals defund the police, making sure that folks know what our demands are in this moment. So that really sparked it. And then, we've seen these Black Lives Matter murals happening all around the country saying different things, but we're supporting artists who are articulating our demands in different artistic ways. So the next week in Atlanta, a group of us wrote Defund the Police in large yellow paint right in front of Atlanta headquarters. The next week we saw Baltimore put it in purple in the Baltimore style, Defund Police near their police headquarters. So we really want to support the artists who are down with the movement, And it doesn't just have to be street art. You could be at home making graphic design or painting canvases or whatever.
Okay.
But this is really about the cultural work of our time. How are we building ways to tug at the hearts and minds of our people, not just through large, fancy words, but through art and culture? And that is really why folks are mad at the Black community, in my opinion, because no one can touch our art and culture. It is really the jewel of who we are and how we know who we are in this world. And other folks ain't got that, so they mad, but that's all right. We gonna give them some Black culture, and the Black Joy experience ain't just for Black folks, it's actually for everybody. So I encourage folks, go to the Instagram or Twitter page, Culture M4BL, the number 4, Culture M4BL. You'll see some of the different art that has popped up just in the last month. That's a brand new page. And please go to Black Joy Experience on Instagram. Check out our music. Go to the Black Joy Experience on all streaming platforms to listen to our chants. We just came out with the music video this past week to a new song, a new chant that we put out. So the culture is popping. I'm so excited to be living in this time and to be in community with you in this time. Yeah, hip hop is really gonna be united. Like, we out here.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And it's so funny because, when I was thinking of, what could I do to create a logo or what would stand out? And, I've helped manage other hip hop platforms, but, I started my platform to unite everybody, not just talk to rappers, but I'm talking to everybody. I'm talking to entertainers, you know, attorneys, athletes, actors, in addition to, artists, activists such as yourself. So I just wanted to create a platform that unites everybody. So, and it's just like it's right on time right now. Right on time right now.
Absolutely, absolutely agree.
Right. So what else can we expect from you? I mean, you're doing so many great things in the community. I mean, again, like I said, you working behind the scenes for the Black community is, totally amazing. Keep up the good work. What else can we expect from you?
Yeah, so right now I'm super excited to be working on the Black Joy Experience Volume 2. Make sure you stay tuned for future occupations that we're launching. We just check out my Instagram page and the Instagram stories about how the New York mayor and the NYPD evicted us from the occupation we were hosting at City Hall. They came at 3:40 a.m. in the morning 3 days ago with about 200 fully swatted police officers and kicked everybody out the park. And this is a park where we were providing mutual aid, support for folks. We were giving free food out to everybody. We built safe spaces for the homeless population to come. We had masks and hand sanitizers and safety precautions. And the CDC recommended that mayors do not break up encampments if folks have been living there, because it will continue to spread the pandemic. And they did it anyways because they didn't like our presence there. They didn't like the idea that Black and brown folks were holding a presence and declaring our power. So just stay tuned for the work. I do encourage folks to follow me on Instagram. I'm trying to post on there as much as possible to share my journey with the world and to build community with whoever want to be in community with me. So I'm super excited about not only my future, but the future of the world, the future of the Black and brown community. I feel more united in this moment than ever before. So I'm really honored and humbled to be in community with so many beautiful people in this moment and to have been prepared for this moment because, we ready and we coming.
I heard that. There it is. Well, I do appreciate you for, joining me today, checking in with me on Hip Hop United. You've already left your social media handles. Anything else you want to leave to the listeners?
Just, I love y'all. Spread love, spread peace, spread joy, and we will make our movement irresistible through Black radical joy and ensure that all of our people can joyfully live out their self-determined lives without limitations or barrier. Peace, y'all.
All right. Well, thank you so much for checking in with Hip Hop United.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.